Right, do you guys promise to have a fair fight in this competition? There's always a winner, I get it, but you have to be fair about this. You ready? Yes, we are. After showing my previous video all about the Insta360 Link 2, I had a lot of people ask me, hey, how does the Insta360 Link 2 compare to the OBSBOT Tiny 2? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you. Both of these cameras in my hands are basically some of the best webcams around that have PTZ or pan tilt zoom functionality. And while I really enjoy my Insta360 Link 2, I'm actually going to start to see what the OBSBOT Tiny 2 is like because I've heard a lot of really good things. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the technical differences between these cameras, as well as the usability of these cameras from a production perspective. So whether you're using these webcams for your own productions or as a remote production where your client is in a remote location and you're controlling things over Zoom, I'm going to talk about that as well. Now let's go over to comparisons. Here you can see side-by-side 4K comparisons between these two cameras. Now do note that both of these videos are unedited. They are not processed by any of the software that is made by each of the manufacturers, nor are they edited inside of the software application that I'm using to record this. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 you can see here on your left side of the screen. This one I find that it's a little bit more rich out of the box. As you can see, I have a little bit of blood going through my face right now, and the tone is actually really good. Now as for the Link 2 that is on your right side here, I'm gonna have to be honest with you, it looks a little bit too cold out of the box. So it is going to require that you run some software adjustments to lower that coldness and increase the warmth temperature. So here's a full screen sample of the Tiny 2, and as you can see, it is very square. It is actually really good high quality. I'm actually quite surprised and quite happy and delighted with regards to the out-of-box quality. And now this is video straight from the Link 2. As you can see, it is also quite square. However, the color seems to be a little bit more muted, as I mentioned. Now, one thing that I would like to note is take a look at the focus quality here. The focus on both of these cameras is as good as any webcam can be. However, let's just quickly see how fast they can focus. So I'm going to put my hands in front, let them focus on my hands, then I'm going to move them away. And as you can see, the focus is around the same speed. However, on the left side, which is the OBSBOT camera, it's somehow not focusing on my face for some reason. Now, both the OBSBOT and the Insta360 have automatic AI hand recognition, and it's enabled out of the box, so when I'm moving around and the camera is watching me, by default it does not follow me. However, because of the little motors inside of it, it allows me to pan and tilt, which means that you can go left and right as well as up and down and zoom in as well. And that's simple as adding a hand recognition here. And so now both cameras have told me that tracking is now enabled. So as I move, you'll now see that the cameras both are able to track me, and they are pretty good and average. I would say they're very close in terms of speed, and the composition itself is okay. Personally speaking, I like a little bit less headroom, but this honestly isn't the end of the world. By the way, if you haven't already noticed, I did adjust the color quality for the Insta360 to give me a little bit more of that normal natural skin color tone for that the actual OBSBOT is showing. However, I do find that the Insta360 is still a little bit too much on the magenta side. Now, aside from camera quality and the AI recognition features on both cameras, they both do also support HDR or high dynamic range capabilities, which really do make your videos pop a little bit more, especially when you have a very high level of contrast difference between light spots and the dark spots in your video. And because they are traditional webcams, they are fully compatible with all of your popular streaming softwares. Alright, now let's do a microphone comparison test. Okay, you're now listening to the audio coming from the OBSBOT Tiny 2. I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think it sounds like? I know that the voice is going to be pretty clear. However, you're going to hear a lot of ambient room noise because I'm in a large studio space, which actually has a lot of echo. And now I'm speaking through the Insta360 Link 2. How does this audio sound? Again, I'm in the exact same room. There's a lot of echo inside here. And I just want to know, how does this actually sound? Do you hear my voice? Do you hear a lot of echo? Or is there a lot of compression happening? I actually do prefer the sound that comes natively out of the Insta360 Link 2. I just found that the OBSBOT, the audio gain was a little bit too much, and it was maybe 2 or 3 decibels too high, and it caused my voice to rumble and increase that level of echo from the studio. Now, in order to get the best quality video, even in lower light situations, the larger the sensor size, the better the quality of the video is going to be. And the OBSBOT Tiny 2 wins out slightly on that. It has a 1/1.5 inch CMOS sensor, where the Insta360 Link 2 has a slightly smaller one at only 1/2 inch. Now, what's amazing about PTZ cameras is that I've been including them inside of my remote guest kit. If you're interested in it, link is above in there. Now, the remote guest kit includes a light as well as a camera and a microphone, and I usually send that to clients who I'm doing regular jobs with that require better quality camera and audio. So the Insta360 Link 2 has given me a lot of new capabilities in terms of what you're seeing right now. This video is actually being recorded from a different computer system. However, as a remote producer, I can now request camera remote control, and if you see here in the bottom right section, I can zoom in manually, or I can pan, tilt, and zoom as well, all through the Zoom interface. So that allows me to ensure that my clients are properly centered, as well as the composition is correct inside of the videos. And the same thing goes for the OBSBOT Tiny 2. As you can see here, the same interface in Zoom allows me to go ahead and zoom in on the person, as well as pan, tilt, and zoom the camera itself. So again, I'm always keeping that person in center. Now, I really do love both of these cameras, and it's really hard to pick between these two. However, I'm going to give an extra bonus point to the Insta360 Link simply because of this. If I wanted to make a minor adjustment, I can go ahead and move the camera, and it will stay exactly where I put it. However, the OBSBOT is a little bit more finicky. Now, it does let me pan a little bit. It's fighting back a little bit. However, I cannot tilt the camera because it always moves back to where it was originally. And so if I wanted to reduce the amount of headspace or something like that, you'll notice that the camera always goes back down to the center. Whereas this guy here, I can move literally, I just turned it off, but I can literally move it any direction that I want to. And that's it, the quick comparisons between these two cameras, the Insta360 Link 2 and the OBSBOT Tiny 2. Now, they're both high quality webcams. However, if you prioritize out of the box image quality, HDR resolution, a really good, I would say, AI gesture recognition, I'm gonna hand that down over to the OBSBOT Tiny 2. It just seemed to be a little bit better out of the box. However, that's not to say that the Insta360 Link 2 is a slouch by any means. In fact, it's still going to be my camera of choice, and I will start to introduce 2 of these kits when I need to, so at that time I'll bring in the OBSBOT. But the Insta360 Link 2, the software, I have to say, I actually like the software a lot better than the OBSBOT software. It's a little bit more intuitive, as well as I can make those differences and changes in terms of the video quality as well when I need to. Now, in terms of pricing, let's just be honest, this is going to be a huge factor for every producer and creator that's out there. The Insta360 Link 2 is a little bit older, and it's coming in at around $200 as of the time that I'm doing this video. However, the OBSBOT Tiny 2, which is newer, it's coming in at $300, so it's 50% more expensive, or a $100 US difference. Now, if that's going to really be a huge factor for you, the Insta360 Link 2 is going to be phenomenal. If you have a larger budget and you're willing to keep the software all together because you might own another OBSBOT camera, well then go ahead and get the OBSBOT Tiny 2. However, for my needs as a remote producer as well as a content creator myself, I actually do enjoy both of these cameras. However, because I do personally own the Insta360 Link 2, I'm going to stick with that one for now and give that one out to my clients. And now that I actually own the OBSBOT Tiny 2 now, I guess I'm going to have to start using that and sending that out to my clients and see which one I actually like to use longer term. Now, a lot of people have been DMing me these popular 2 questions. The first one is, what microphone are you using on your head? Well, I'm going to show you that video over here, so go ahead and click on that link. Now, the other question people also have is about that remote guest kit, and that's actually over here. And I want you to take a look at both of those videos, and I want you to give me some feedback and let me know how I'm doing in terms of the quality of the productions. Thanks so much. See you on the next video.